Welcome to Mental Reset, real talk and real tools for men's mental health.
I'm Ryan, former Deputy Manager of the NHS 111 service. I got close to the mental health teams and then started out on my own to teach mental health first aid and mental health support, and I've been in mental health for a decade now. But the thing that qualifies all of us the most is real lived experience. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about vulnerability, something that often men don't know how to explore and how to navigate, what it is to be vulnerable and feel vulnerable. And often the perspective can be, if I'm vulnerable, I'm weak, which that absolutely is not the case.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've found out firsthand that actually being vulnerable is a show of strength. The ability to be able to talk to someone really openly, putting everything there out in the open and on the line is a real show of strength. And it's a skill that I think that most men do need to learn and improve.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we're not taught how to be vulnerable. We have that self-stigma, everyone else is doing all right. What's wrong with me? What can I cope? And, why would you want to be vulnerable? Well, showing your whole true self. It can be exhausting in this world, hiding parts of yourself, keeping that little bit quiet. What if you don't like me? What if you don't accept me? If we're able to show up as our whole true selves and be vulnerable, then that's almost the opposite of suppression, right? And we know where suppression can lead men. It can lead them to crisis, with the 76% of all suicides in the UK being men. And there's no one reason for that, but like keeping it in, feeling like I can't be vulnerable, I can't reach out, I can't tell you I'm struggling. So I've got to lock that inside, and it can just manifest, it can just bounce around and round and round. So how would you say a man could be vulnerable? Where do you start?
I think it's about creating a space with someone to allow them to be vulnerable. So having the right kind of conversations with someone. So, for example, if I had a friend who I thought might have been struggling and I've reached out to that friend, I don't think it's necessarily about trying to fix and solve. I think it's just about creating a space, a really safe space for them to gradually tell you what they want to tell you in that at that moment in time. Not about forcing the issue, but allowing them to say it when they feel comfortable to. And that, I think, is about creating space for someone. Yeah,
because we hear that all the time, safe space, comfortable space, a natural space, a personable space. It doesn't have to be any particular space in terms of environment. That opportunity where you can share something with me, I show I'm engaged, I'm a good listener, ask open questions. I don't need to fix you, you might not want fixing. But just being able to encourage that out of you, encourage you to talk more about this and feel it and almost clumsily navigate that together, that can feel vulnerable for both the person sharing and the listener. But as the listener, I'm grateful. It's a privilege if you're sharing this difficult, painful part of your life with me, and you can both feel vulnerable. But that's okay.
Yeah, and I think actually showing vulnerability to someone else is one of the best ways you can gain their trust as well. So if I'm having if I'm seeing that you're struggling and you've got something to say, if I show my vulnerability to you, that is going to encourage you to show your vulnerability to me and open up as well. But I've got a question for you, Ryan. So I think all us men watching will agree that women are very good at talking about their feelings and being vulnerable. Why is it that men struggle with that?
So many different reasons. I think upbringing plays a part. I think there's a generational difference in understanding mental health, that old-fashioned, ingrained hunter-gatherer, part of us that has to be the provider and keep it all together. And the example I always give is I'm more likely to talk about mental health than my dad. My dad was stuck in the middle. I took him reluctantly aged 70 to see his doctor. He got diagnosed with the same mental illness we share. He's now the happiest 74-year-old you've ever met. Mum and you know my mum and dad. They've been married 52 years. My mum says she's doing my head in. He's too happy.
Yeah.
If I said to my granddad mental health, he'd look past me. If I said that to my great granddad, He'd have given me a clip round the ear and said, pull your socks up, son. Don't talk about that. You'll bring shame on the family. So as we are getting more comfortable talking about mental health, which naturally drives down the stigma and judgment, I think people are willing to be what might feel that bit more vulnerable than they were in previous generations.
And I think that is absolutely fantastic. I think, the more we become vulnerable, the more we put it out there on the table without caring what people think of us, the better we are, and the easier it is to kind of navigate out of that difficult situation. Because, I think talking about things, it really, really helps. And when we're having the conversations, we like you said, we don't need that fix. Sometimes it's just getting it out there, isn't it? It's not, I'm telling you because I want you to come up with a solution. It's just getting it out, taking the cork off the bottle and letting it all out, isn't it? Because it just builds up otherwise, doesn't it?
That's it, bottling it up. That's an old saying, isn't it? Don't bottle it up. But if no one teaches you how to take the lid off the bottle, what choice have you got? You're going to bottle it up, right, and keep it in. And then if you try to share something and be vulnerable and the person didn't react in a kind way, because that's what I've experienced. I go, oh, you're weird, you're strange, whatever. Well, I'm not going to be vulnerable again. But over the decade, I've been teaching mental health support and having people reach out to me, and the great people that have shared stuff with me. I've met bare knuckle fighters, people in the forces for 20 years, professional MMA fighters, boxers, bodybuilders, these supposedly stereotypical tough individuals. They've all shared that when I was able to open up a bit in a way that's comfortable for me, enough, let it out, as you say, actually it made me stronger. It made me more resilient, because this is the supercomputer, right? If this isn't being looked after, then what we do, the sports we're involved in, the things we face in life, it's redundant if we don't look after this. I think that's why you get people who are really inspirational people, like maybe a double amputee, and they go, you know what, I'm climbing Everest, I'm doing it. Because the mind wants it, no matter what physically is going on, they're like, I'm going to find a way. But then if someone's got depression, even having a shower or getting ready or leaving the house can be an impossibility. If we don't look after this, that's their Everest. Yeah, this is everything. And one of the ways we can nurture this, we can look after it, is opening up. And as men, that can feel vulnerable. So vulnerability doesn't necessarily mean hugging each other and crying and all that kind of stuff that men will go, I'm not being vulnerable. It's your journey. It's in a way that you're comfortable with the person you trust, but lowering that mask and the guard and opening up a little bit about the struggles you're going through, the troubles, everything from the crisis down to the difficult life event like a divorce or loss, grief and bereavement, all these things that we might have to face, and we just go, oh yeah, but everyone goes through that. No, but it deserves respect. It deserves compassion and empathy, and it feels vulnerable talking about some of this stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I've how you describe the typical male perception of being vulnerable is exactly how I would have operated in those situations. Like I would have done anything not to talk about it. I would have kept things bottled up. But since I've started sharing and talking and being a bit more open with how I feel, like I've realised that so many people are struggling, and so many people will resonate with what you're saying because they've been through something similar. And these are friends of mine that, I see from the outsider looking into their lives and think everything's all, hunky-dory or whatever. But I start talking about, my anxiety or overwhelm, and they'll then say, yeah, I'm exactly the same. And I was like, I had no idea.
I wouldn't have thought that about you.
Yes.
You got it together. And you're just like, what, really? And then you realise you're not alone.
Yeah, and it builds friendships as well, because that connection you then have with that person, it's because you've both shared, you've both been vulnerable. But yeah, it's mad. It's mad the connection and community, and the amount of people that are going through or have been through things similar that you wouldn't be aware of.
We need to pave the way with that as well. Like, I think when people are willing to you know what, wear the heart on the sleeve and go, I've had my journey, I'm not afraid to talk about it. When other people stand up and do that and offer that vulnerability, it paves the way for others. And I think environment and culture has a big part to play in that. For example, correct me if I'm wrong, you're more of a football fan than I am.
Correct.
I don't know nothing about football. Correct. We still haven't had a current Premiership footballer come out as gay. True?
I believe true.
But there must be, by the numbers, right? Because football can have that culture where it's a little bit dated, it's a bit cruel, it's a bit savage, it's not accepting, it's not diverse and modern and forward thinking. But rugby, it's a tougher sport than football. You've got some tough, big man mountains in rugby. We have had current top level rugby players come out and say, I'm gay.
Why do you think that is? What's the difference?
It's environments and culture, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, football grounds could be cruel places, right?
Yeah.
If a player did say something, you're going to get the chance. But my point being that when someone is brave enough to go, this is me, and I am not afraid to talk about it. I'm not ashamed. This is me. You accept me or you don't. As we've had in rugby, now if a current top league or top level rugby player came out as gay, people are like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas
fine.
In football, we've not had that. So I think environment and culture, we need to bust that down. I know I'm talking about, sexual orientation, but the point being, when we've had celebrities come forward and it must have felt really vulnerable. For the first few people who did it, I've got a mental illness. I'm not afraid to talk about it. And people go, oh, or, I've got a neurodevelopmental condition, or I'm an addict in recovery. And if you think about how we treat Britney Spears way back when, it was clearly going through a mental health crisis. She was condemned and judged.
It was terrible, isn't it?
It's horrific. Caroline Flack, thankfully, I think the media learnt from that, because she got punished in the media and sadly she died by suicide. When people are willing to stand up, it paves the way for other people. And then it can feel less scary. It can feel less vulnerable then, because you're not putting yourself out there.
It normalises it, doesn't it? It normalises having these conversations. It starts to become part of your everyday life, these check-ins.
We can encourage vulnerability as well. So when there's a friend that, like you said, looks like they've got it all together, and we think they've got their shit together. Look at them, look how well they're doing. But they're going through a significant life event. We need to recognise that life event is significant. It deserves respect. And I can keep taking it too. If you're I'm fine, mate, I'm all right. Knowing that you're going through or have gone through that, I can be a bit more proactive. I can keep reaching out, because you might not be comfortable at all being vulnerable. But going through that life event on your own, that's not a nice, but even if you are handling it like a champ, you're handling it like a legend, still, it's gonna have an effect, right? Relationship breakdown, not seeing the kids, financial crisis, which according to psychology is one of the biggest weights we carry, and the world's an expensive place these days. We're a long place from where you used to have one person be able to go to work and one person run the home. Now, typically, two adults, if you as a pair, might have to work to financially live a decent life. Loss, grief and bereavement, these are significant life events that it shouldn't feel vulnerable going, I'm struggling, I'm not doing so good here.
But it shouldn't always be for, like you say, for that person to reach out, right? You've got to, as a friend, knowing someone's going through that, you've got to take it on yourself to reach in as well, to 100%. Check in. And I mean, I find in that situation as well, when someone's going through something difficult, I try and avoid the term, let me know if you need anything. Because it puts it back on them to tell you what they need. Yeah. But I feel as a good friend, if you're having a conversation and you're saying you're really struggling, then I want to be there. I want to be saying to you, like, right, okay, give me 15 minutes. I'm going to be around your house. We'll have a cup of tea. We'll have a quick chat. I won't stay as long as for as long as you want me to. But taking it upon yourself to be there for a friend is, for me, the definition of reaching in.
100%. We all say, we all hear that, right? Let me know if you need anything. So like flippant and passive, and You might be thinking, well, you're busy, I don't want to burden you, I don't want to bother you. So we've got to go the next layer of that, especially with men. Like, what do you need? Oh, no, I'm all right. No, seriously, what do you need? What are you doing Wednesday? I'll tell you what, I'm going to come around Friday. I'll just bring a takeaway or something. We've got to take it to each other.
Yeah.
Because we've had this thing ingrained where you're busy, you've got your own problems, you've got your own life. Like, what do you need? I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. Even if you say you're fine, say, well, Sam, but nice to spend a bit of time with you. So what day works for you? Rather than let me know if you need anything, let me know if you're struggling. Like, what's that 8 minutes quote you always drop on me? I love that.
I can't remember his name. Simon someone, isn't it?
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's honest. I absolutely love the way he talks about friendship, and he talks about the power of friendship with such emotion. When I watch his stuff, it really kind of resonates with me. But he talks about a friend who tells him that a couple of weeks ago she was struggling with something. And Simon said to her, "Oh, why don't you reach out?" And she said she did. So he goes through his phone. He's going through all the messages, and he's like, "Oh, what you mean that message there saying, oh, what you up to?" So that's just any other message. And he basically that was her way of reaching out, but he didn't sort of pick up on it. So they agreed to have this code word for "Have you got 8 minutes?" Because apparently it takes 8 minutes of talking to someone to make them feel that they're not alone in what they're going through. So we've adopted this, haven't we?
Well,
as well?
we have.
Like, sometimes you need a bit of a code to know what that person needs.
Yeah.
And if I'm struggling and I need 8 minutes of your time, I'll say, Ryan, you got 8 minutes. And that's all it takes.
And I can find 8 minutes. You could salvage 8 minutes in your day somewhere, just scrolling or doing something to show up for a friend. And you know what you mean about that code? Because that can drive down vulnerability. Like, I've got codes with friends where, not friends, but people I've met over this journey where they'll say, look, someone's struggling, my partner, my brother, my sister, whatever. Would you help them out? I'm like, yeah, sound. And we've got a code. I said, just send me an emoji. If you can't articulate that you're in a difficult place, just send me an emoji. And we agree on the emoji. It could be any emoji, do you know what I mean? Because it's hard to go, delete, shall I send it?
How many times have you been in a position where someone's asked you how you were doing? You type in a big message, struggling, I'm going through all this, you've got like paragraphs on paragraphs, and then you delete it and you reply with, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
How many times has that happened? So that having that code word in place just breaks down that. It gets rid of that. It gets rid of the mask, and it's like, I need to talk, I need to offload. But I think as well, it's like, having that 8 minutes to make someone feel better and allowing them to talk. It's the content of that conversation that's important as well, isn't it? Because obviously we're talking about men being vulnerable, but another thing with, as a default of a man is wanting to provide a solution and to fix something. So how someone going through something might not necessarily need a fix or a solution in that moment. So how as a man do we try and stop offering a solution and fix in the first instance?
Well, there's nothing wrong with using your lived experience, nothing wrong with you using your experience if there's something that resonates, that's relatable. But our fix could really be being a good listener. I'm just going to show up, ask you open questions, who, when, where, what, why, and be a good listener. Because we don't get taught how to be a good listener. We get taught reading, we get taught writing, but being a present, conscious, effective listener is a skill. Let's reverse it. What have people done to you before that's given you the feeling or impression they're not really bothered, not really listening? What have people done?
It's also projection, isn't it? It's I'll be trying to tell them what I'm going through, and their default is to tell me that they've been through something worse. So it's almost like they're in competition, but it feels like it's not to benefit me, but to almost invalidate what I'm telling them.
The conversation hijacker.
Yeah,
It's always bigger or badder or better or
Yeah.
worse. I've been to Tenerife, you've been to 12 Reef.
That's it.
I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people will, like, we want to be relatable, but only after listening can I say, like, I feel like I've felt that way before, so you're not alone. I feel like I've been through something similar. Tell me about well, we know about the fixer, right? The person goes, you just need to do this. You should stop doing that. And then there's people who...
Yeah.
Only 35% of our communication is verbal. A whopping 65% is non-verbal. So things like eye contact, gestures, posture, seating position, mannerisms can all give you the encouragement to be vulnerable, to talk to me. You know, there is that trust, there is that space where I'm making you feel it. It's not necessarily what I say. And another little tip that might work, it might not. Let silence do the hard work and the heavy lifting for you. What do you think the theory is on the maximum amount of time in seconds a comfortable silence can last? There's a theory on it.
I don't know, I've got no idea.
Apparently it's between 3 and 5 seconds. So asking someone, how you feeling? Sit in that moment. Let them digest it before we probe and support. Yeah, because I'm tempted to kind of say, oh, you're feeling this, you're feeling that. Now, I'm terrible at this in day-to-day life. I'll do something like this. James, how was your weekend? Was it good? Don't think you told me about. There's a difference in that and me saying, how was your weekend? And not looking like the only reason I've asked you is because I can't wait to tell you about my weekend.
Yeah.
It feels different. These things make a difference.
And that is the kind of the definition of holding space, isn't it? You're giving someone that time as well, because someone who's going through something, and it, like me, I know from personal experience with what I go through with my physical and mental health, is when I'm feeling down or when I'm amidst a flare up, my break, like the time it takes for me to retrieve a kind of a thought and get it out, because of the brain fog, takes a little bit of time. So by having that pause and giving them the time and space, it actually allows them to kind of compose their thoughts and get it out. But if you're quick to rush the conversation, then you're not actually going to get anything, important from them.
Yeah, let them work it out, let them digest that question. Now, I've supported people before, and I've gone round, and I've took it to them because they were never going to bother me because they think I'm busy, and I've gone round and I've sat with them and I've tried to hold the space and I've asked open questions and, even just saying, do you want a cup of tea or something? I'm all right. And nothing really came back. I felt like I wasn't helping. I started to doubt myself. Thought I must be terrible at mental health support. And this happened over weeks and months. And then the person started their journey of recovery, and they came back and they said, I really, really appreciate you coming around. I was like, well, I didn't do anything. I don't think I helped you. They said, you did. You just sat with me in the darkness. You just sat with me in that difficult time and space where other people might avoid because they feel uncomfortable or like they've got to fix me. You just showed up. You just showed up. I didn't say anything really verbally. It was like non-verbal. Let me sit with you in this difficult time. Let me share some of that. And that's empathy. That can be really important for vulnerability, because empathy is different to sympathy. I've got to connect with something in myself that maybe knows that feeling. And Brené Brown covers this really well. Like it's a vulnerable choice, empathy, because I've got to share some of that emotion with you. I've got to feel some of that. Otherwise, it's just surface level stuff, and that's hard to do because I care about you. I'm showing up. I'm demonstrating empathy and compassion. That can affect my mental health because, hey, I care about you and I'm feeling some of that. It might remind me about some of those feelings. So it is hard to hold space, and that's why we might have to protect and improve our own mental health. Going to take time for us to process that difficulty, that emotion. And I think this is why often we see when there's someone close to someone else and that person's in a difficult space, rather than this person come up, that person supporting comes down.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have those boundaries. And by boundaries, I don't mean arm's length, don't let you in, don't want it to affect me. I just mean like the recognition that I'm in a level of this with you and I don't need to fix you, so there's no pressure there. And I don't really need to say anything. I just need to show up, let you, be vulnerable. I'm feeling vulnerable too, but that's okay because we're sharing it together.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, you are a mental health first aid trainer. So if you or someone reached out to you, rather, who's in quite a quite severe mental health episode or crisis, how would you deal with that?
First thing I'd say, depending on our relationship, because we want this to be personable and human, we'd always use the relationship we've got to guide that conversation. And I'd say, you know what, I really appreciate you telling me that. I massively respect you for telling me that. Who else have you told? Who would you like to tell? Who's at home with you? And now if they said no one, I've told you, I haven't got anyone, then I'd say, out of all of your friends and all your family, who would understand this the best? Who would understand this the most? Do you want me to ring them for you? Can we get them round? Can we go there? Do you want to ring them, put it on speakerphone? We always want to try and connect that person to as many different sources of support as possible. Now, if they didn't have anyone at all, and I've never had this in 10 years, in my experience, there's always been, the person will say, I've got a friend who I think's gone through something, and we connected it to them. And because that friend has gone through something, they understand, they've got that empathy. But if someone had no one, that's when we look at the great charities, organisations and not-for-profits. So you've got things like the Samaritans, you've got Calm, you've got Shout, that's like a text Samaritan service. And then you've got a fantastic app called the Hub of Hope. That is a free app and website. It's a directory of mental health supports and services. You'll put in town or postcode, filter it by what you're looking for, and it'll come up with pages and pages of great places. And men specific, we've got things like Andy's Man's Club now, we've got men's sheds, we've got charities and groups and organisations that understand the challenges for men in showing vulnerability, in talking, in reaching out. And what I love about Andy's Man's Club is they'll have facilitators who will kind of stand outside, because there's been many times when they'll see someone in the car and they've not got out of the car, and they suspect that they're curious, they're thinking about coming in, but they just haven't quite got that, they haven't got it in them to walk through the door. So these facilitators will look for the non-verbal cues and think they've been walking past, or they're sat in the car, and they'll go over to them and say, "Oh, are you here for Andy's Man's Club? Come on in, mate, it's a safe space, you know, come and have a brew." We need often that encouragement as men to just take that first step, because it just feels so alien, so difficult, so vulnerable.
Yeah, and we'll be posting all the links to all these resources on our page as well, won't we? So, you know, if people
100%.
can share them or do need them, then obviously you've got them there to access.
That's it. We're going to share all the resources we talk about, all the links. This is a free space as a community of people that pull together and lift each other up. And that community, that might seem quite fluffy and woolly. The theme for Mental Health Awareness Week 2025 was community. And it's not about the road we live on or the house we live in. It's about pulling together and lifting each other up. 3 countries in the world with the most people who live to over 100. Which 3 countries? Most centenarians.
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Italy.
Yep.
I know you're a fan of Italy.
I am a big fan.
Japan and Puerto Rico. Now, with all the clever Google data and analysis we've got these days, they wanted to know why. Was it hours of daylight? Was it something in the water? Was it lifestyle? Was it nutrition? These 3 countries only shared one thing in common: sense of community.
Yeah.
Lifting each other up, helping each other out. So you'll have your work community, you'll have your football community, I'll have my friendship group who can be community, but it's these little pockets, these little spaces in our world where we can just pull together and help each other out, because life's hard to navigate. We need that. We're not supposed to go it in isolation. We know the risk with isolation and loneliness. The opposite of that is, let's help each other out. Let's lift each other up. And if it's only the stigma and judgment around men's mental health that locks that in, we can dilute that down generation upon generation until it's nothing. And that's why we'd love you to subscribe and like one of our videos on our channel, because it's going to be free, remain free, and we hope that it's helped you watching.